Well, Super Rugby Week 15 kicks off today, and we're very excited. There are 4 South African games this weekend. The first one starts very shortly. It is the Blues versus the Sharks. Joining me in studio, I have these two wise guys, Garen and Rob, to share their predictions with us. I hope they're a little bit better than last week. Thank you for sitting down.
Morning, Jen.
Hello, Jen.
Well, like I said, I hope your predictions are better than last week.
We'll do our best. Hopefully a bit wiser than last week, like you say.
All right, Garen, let's reclaim that wise guy title back. Why don't you take us through your predictions for the first game?
Okay, so as you said, the first game, it's the Blues up against the Sharks in Auckland. The Sharks playing their final match of their 4-match tour. So they're looking to end up on a high. You know, they're coming off that fantastic win they had last weekend against the Crusaders. First time they'd ever won in Christchurch. They did it with 14 men for 64 minutes of that match. So you'd think with 15 men it would be a lot easier.
Right.
But, you know, they've had a short turnaround. It's only a 6-day gap since their last match. The Blues had last weekend off, so they're going to be refreshed. They've also got a lot to play for, the Blues. You know, they're at home, but they're slipping down a little bit in the New Zealand Conference. If they want to still make the playoffs, they really have to win this game. So I expect a sort of titanic battle from the two teams. You know, the Blues backline is renowned for their running, attacking rugby. The Sharks, you know, their forwards are really their strength. So it should be an interesting matchup to get week 15 underway. I'm going to go with the Sharks to win. You know, a bit of a hard prediction here, but it'll be very, very close. I'm going with the Sharks by 2. All
right, Rob, do you agree?
I'm going Sharks by perhaps 3. It's going to be a close one, there's no doubt about that. A lot at stake in the match. The thing we need to remember is that, and I think Jake White will drum it into the Sharks players, who may still be on a little bit of a high after that victory over the Crusaders. And so complacency is perhaps a little bit of a threat to them, but Jake White will remind them, I think, that of the importance of trying to win it, because the Sharks still have some pretty tough games back in South Africa. It's one thing to say, you know, it's the end of the tour now, last match, and then they come back to South Africa, but the games that they've got back in South Africa are all tough. I know a lot of Sharks fans are quite nervous about the 2 derbies against the Stormers coming up, so I think they want to try and end the tour with a win to really entrench their position at the top of the table and the likelihood of a home semi-final. So I don't think they'll be lacking in motivation. I think it's probably a good thing that they come off a win. I really do think that was sort of like a revitalizing tonic for them, that game against the Crusaders. And that's why I'm going with the Sharks. It's a hazardous prediction because South African teams don't win dime a dozen overseas under any circumstances. So, you know, each game you have to sort of eke out. But I just think the Sharks will still have enough. They're still riding the wave from last week to just do enough to perhaps knock over the Blues.
All right, well, we won't have to wait long to find out if your predictions are correct. And just for good measure, I'm going to go with the Blues. So then at least there will be food involved.